The night hums like a living circuit inside the Helix Institute. Rain licks the glass walls, while Dr. Adrian Cole steadies his trembling hands above the neural array. Elena Ruiz lies silent beneath the halo of electrodes, her breath shallow, her pulse almost still. The monitors whisper in colors: soft blue for consciousness, gold for memory, red for the vanishing point between both. Adrian isn't chasing God, he's chasing truth. And yet, something divine trembles in the hum. Dr. Mira Shah watches from the corner, her eyes wide, faith unraveling under fluorescent light. The countdown begins. The final neural scan flickers, then flatlines. But as Elena exhales her last breath, a pulse, structured, symmetrical, impossible, leaves her brain like a signature escaping gravity. Adrian's heart freezes. The data isn't fading. It's leaving. Hours later, Adrian sits alone in the observation room. The footage loops endlessly. The same luminous pulse, the same departure. He replays it again and again, as if repetition could rationalize revelation. The hum of the server sounds almost human. Mira enters quietly, her reflection ghosted in the glass. She doesn't ask what he saw. She already knows. If you publish this, she whispers, the world will never forgive you. Adrian doesn't answer. He just rewinds. The screen glows gold again. For one frame, the waveform looks like a heartbeat and a prayer. Morning breaks cold over Zurich. Outside, the world moves as if nothing sacred happened. Inside Helix, the servers whisper secrets. Adrian locks the data drive in a lead case, each click echoing like a confession. He stares at the mountains beyond the glass, their peaks sharp as questions he can't answer. Mira's voice lingers in his mind. The world will never forgive you. But maybe truth was never meant to be forgiven. Director Weber calls the meeting without warning. The air feels heavier than gravity. He speaks in calm monotone about data irregularities and protocol breaches, his voice stripped of emotion. Adrian remains silent, staring at his reflection in the glass table, seeing not his face but the waveform, Elena's farewell encoded in light. When the meeting ends, Weber says, "There was no anomaly." Adrian whispers, "Then what did I see?" That night, Adrian stands at the river, watching lights ripple across the water like scattered neurons firing in the dark. He closes his eyes and sees Elena's pulse again. Perfect, radiant, leaving the body as if escaping gravity. Somewhere between science and faith, a new question forms. If the soul can be measured, can it also be lost? The Institute buries the data before sunrise. Adrian watches the deletion notice flicker across his screen like a death certificate. Integrity protocol executed, it reads, erasing the soul from record. He sits motionless. The sound of the servers now a low mechanical prayer. Miri enters, eyes soft, words careful. "They're protecting you," she says. But Adrian knows better. This isn't protection, it's burial. Somewhere in that silence, a pulse still hums. He feels it behind his ribs, echoing Elena's final heartbeat. Truth, once witnessed, doesn't die. It hides. Later that day, the lab feels hollow, like faith stripped from a church. Adrian re-enters, the monitors blank, the instruments cold. Mira follows, carrying silence heavier than words. "Let it go," she pleads, her tone almost a whisper of prayer. But he can't. The waveform isn't gone. He memorized it. Every curve, every beat. It lives now in his mind, haunting him like a confession he can't unhear. For the first time, data feels like sin. That night, Adrian dreams of Elena. Not alive, not dead, but somewhere in between. Her voice isn't sound, it's vibration. She says nothing. Yet he understands. "You recorded more than light." He wakes gasping. Drenched in sweat, the monitors flickering with ghost data, though the system is offline. The soul signal is back, pulsing faintly in golden rhythm. He grips the desk, trembling. This isn't faith. This is proof, refusing to stay buried. At dawn, he brings Mira to the lab. The waveform glows again, faint but real. "You see it?" he asks. She nods, barely breathing. "It's impossible," she whispers, yet her trembling hand reaches toward the light as if it were divine. For a moment, science and faith share the same silence. Then the screen dies, plunging them back into darkness. Mira exhales shakily. "If this is real, the world isn't ready." Adrian answers, "Then we make it ready." Hours later, Director Weber stands in Adrian's doorway, his calm smile carved from control. "The board has decided," he says. "The project ends now." Adrian doesn't argue, he simply stares. Weber's voice lowers. "Faith destabilizes nations, Doctor. We study brains, not souls. When Weber leaves, the silence feels eternal." Mira touches Adrian's arm. "He's right," she murmurs, but Adrian looks past her out the window toward the rising sun that paints the clouds gold. "So was Galileo," he replies. Adrian moves through the institute like a ghost among his own machines. The project is officially dead, but the data lives in secret, reborn in hidden folders, encrypted and nameless. At night, he reroutes power from abandoned labs, reconstructing the experiment with stolen access. The hum of the equipment feels like a heartbeat returning from extinction. He no longer records patience, he records silence itself, searching for the pattern that outlived death. When the waveform flickers again, faint but familiar, his pulse stumbles. He's no longer documenting science. He's trespassing into afterlife. He needs confirmation, proof that the anomaly wasn't Elena's alone. In the quiet of his office, Adrian accesses hospital archives, searching for terminal EEG data. Every file feels like a grave exhumed. When he finds one, a patient, long deceased, unremarkable, he overlays the readings atop Elena's. The alignment is perfect. 2 deaths, same departure. His hand trembles as he saves the sequence to an untraceable drive labeled Project Lazarus. Somewhere between despair and revelation, he begins to realize the signal isn't an accident. It's a signature. Mira discovers him after midnight. The room glows with the quiet fury of discovery. She stares at the screens, speechless. "You risk everything," she says finally, voice trembling. "The board, your license, your life." Adrian doesn't look at her. He's too deep inside the data. "What if we've been measuring the wrong thing all along?" he murmurs. "What if consciousness isn't contained, but connected?" Mira steps closer, her breath uneven. "And if you're right," Adrian's eyes rise slowly to meet hers, "then death isn't an ending. It's a signal waiting for reception." The next evening, Adrian sends an encrypted packet to a private server registered in Vatican City. The message is brief. "You've studied this before. I have proof." For hours, no reply. Then, just before dawn, a single response appears. "We know what you've found. Stop." Adrian stares at the words, unsure whether to feel threatened or understood. Outside, the first light touches the Alps like revelation. He whispers to no one, "You can't stop what's already seen," and he presses send again. 2 days later, the reply arrives. Not text, but a voice file. Adrian plays it once, then again, chilled by the familiarity. It's Father Luca Moretti, a Jesuit scholar he met years ago at a consciousness symposium. The voice says, "What you found is real, but it's not new." The message ends abruptly, replaced by coordinates. Vatican archives. The words echo through Adrian's mind. Not new. For the first time, the scientist feels like the student of something ancient. Father Luca Moretti arrives unannounced, stepping into the sterile heart of Helix with the quiet gravity of a man who's seen eternity blink. Adrian watches him cross the corridor, an emissary from belief entering the Cathedral of Reason. They shake hands without speaking. Lucas' eyes hold both sorrow and recognition. "You've opened a door we sealed centuries ago," he says softly. "The priest isn't here to bless. He's here to warn." Adrian gestures toward the holographic waveform suspended in golden light. "Then tell me what's on the other side." They descend into the secure sublevel. Luca carries no briefcase, only a single worn notebook bound in crimson leather. He opens it slowly, revealing sketches of neural patterns centuries old, identical to Adrian's data. "This signal was recorded in 1623, Luca says, voice trembling with awe. "A Jesuit physicist died decoding it." Adrian stares at the page, its lines matching his digital waveform perfectly. "You're telling me they had this before electricity existed?" Luca nods. "The church locked it away, not to suppress faith, but to protect reason from consuming itself." Mira enters mid-conversation, her gaze darting between priest and scientist. "You're collaborating with the Vatican now?" she asks, disbelief sharp as a blade. Adrian doesn't respond. His focus is trapped in the notebook's impossible geometry. Luca closes it gently. "You search for proof," he says. "We search for meaning. Both roads lead to ruin if walked alone." Mira's tone softens. "So, what are we walking toward?" Luca looks up at her, eyes shimmering with conviction. "Not discovery, Doctor, redemption." Luca leads them into the old server vault, a repurposed chapel from Helix's early construction, stained glass windows, preserved for aesthetics, cast colored reflections across circuitry. He kneels before an inactive terminal, whispering Latin prayers as he inserts an ancient data key shaped like a rosary bead. The monitors awaken, revealing hundreds of encrypted consciousness maps labeled Vatican Neural Archive. Adrian stares, his world collapsing into wonder. Luca turns to him, voice trembling. "Every century, someone rediscovers the signal. Every century, we bury it again." As ancient data fills the screens, the air thickens with invisible weight. Centuries of human consciousness flicker across digital space, each death recorded, each soul departing in identical resonance. Mira whispers, "This could rewrite everything." Luca replies, "It already did, long before we were born." Adrian steps closer to the light, his voice quiet, reverent. "Then maybe it's time we stop burying it." Luca's eyes glisten with tears. "And when you raise it, Doctor, what else will rise with it?" It begins with a whisper, then becomes a storm. An anonymous file appears on the global neural network, Adrian's waveform, the soul signal, tagged proof of afterlife. Within hours, the world fractures. Some call it salvation, others heresy. Streets fill with candles and riots alike. Mira bursts into the lab, her voice shaking. "You leaked it." Adrian doesn't answer. The news screens above them flash with chaos. Churches overrun, governments issuing denials. Mira presses her palms to the glass wall, whispering, "We didn't prove the soul, Adrian. We proved how fragile we are without doubt." The Helix Institute becomes a fortress. Reporters swarm outside, drones hum overhead, and inside, Director Weber's fury reverberates through every corridor. "Do you understand what you've done?" he bellows, slamming a file across Adrian's desk. The printout shows collapsing markets, mass suicides, religious uprisings. Adrian's reply is almost a whisper. "Maybe the truth isn't meant to comfort us." Weber leans close, voice cold as steel. "Truth isn't your responsibility anymore." As he leaves, Mira's eyes follow him, realizing the world isn't falling apart because of what Adrian proved, but because it can no longer pretend not to know. Across the world, the footage spreads faster than denial can contain it. A dying child in Argentina, a soldier in Ukraine, a monk in Kyoto, each recorded death showing the same departing pulse. Adrian and Mira watch from the lab as humanity gazes at its own soul in high definition. They're worshipping data. Mira murmurs, eyes glistening. Adrian's voice is barely audible, or maybe they're finally listening. Outside, sirens wail. Protesters chant his name as both prophet and criminal. He turns away from the noise, whispering, "I didn't want faith. Maybe they're the same thing." Father Luca returns to find the Institute under lockdown. The guards let him pass, perhaps sensing the weight he carries. Inside, he finds Adrian hunched over a console, surrounded by the ghosts of his own discovery. "You've unleashed belief without boundary," Luca says. Adrian looks up, eyes red, voice steady. "You wanted to protect the truth. I wanted to reveal it. Maybe we both mistook control for purpose." Luca's hand rests on Adrian's shoulder. "And now that the world has seen the soul, what will you do?" Adrian answers, "See if it still believes in itself." That night, Helix windows reflect the flames of protest fires below. Mira watches from the upper balcony, her silhouette etched in gold and red. "You broke the world open," she says quietly as Adrian joins her. "Maybe it needed to break," he replies. She turns, eyes filled with tears. "And if there's no putting it back?" He looks out over the burning city, the chants, the light flickering like dying stars. "Then we build something honest in its place." In the reflection, their faces merge with the fire, science and faith illuminated by the same burning truth. The Institute feels like a tomb. Security lights flicker red through the glass halls. Alarms echo faintly in the distance. Adrian sits alone in the neural chamber, the prototype core humming faintly beside him, a device capable of replicating and amplifying the soul signal. If he activates it, humanity will no longer have faith, only evidence. Mira enters quietly, her voice breaking the silence. "They'll come for you before morning." Adrian doesn't move. "Then I'll give them something worth finding." She kneels beside him, whispering, "You don't have to play God." His eyes rise, haunted but certain. "I'm not playing. I'm listening." Director Weber storms in with armed guards, his authority cracking under panic. "This ends now, Cole," he shouts, his voice reverberating off steel. Adrian rises slowly, calm amid the chaos. "If I destroy it, the world will keep searching. If I release it, maybe we finally stop pretending we're alone." Weber gestures toward the guards, fury masking fear. "You'll unmake civilization." Adrian steps toward the device, his tone almost a prayer. "Or remake it into something honest." Mira's tears glisten in the flickering red light as she whispers, "Adrian, please." Father Luca enters moments before violence erupts. His presence halts the room as if time itself takes a breath. "Stop." He commands quietly, "You're both right, and both blind." He approaches Adrian, placing a trembling hand on his shoulder. Truth isn't meant to be owned. It's meant to be shared, even when it breaks us. Adrian's voice trembles. "And if sharing it breaks everything?" Luca's gaze softens. "Then perhaps that's how God rebuilds." For the first time, Adrian's certainty falters. Faith and science stand face to face, and neither knows which one they are anymore. Mira steps forward, breaking the deadlock. "Adrian," she says gently, "you wanted proof of the soul. You found it. But maybe the proof was never for the world. It was for you." Her voice shakes but holds steady. "Let the world rediscover faith on its own terms." Adrian stares at her, the golden reflection dancing in his eyes. For the first time, his conviction bends into grief. "Then tell me what to do." She smiles faintly, tears falling. "Do what makes us human, not what makes us gods." Adrian lowers his gaze. The choice becomes clear. and unbearably heavy. The alarms fall silent. Adrian takes one long breath, then inputs a final sequence. The core hums softly, golden light, intensifying until it fills the chamber. Reber shields his eyes. Luca bows his head. Mira watches, trembling. Then the light collapses inward, imploding into darkness. The device is gone. The data erased. Only silence remains. Adrian exhales, the weight of the world leaving his chest. "It's done," he says quietly. Mira steps closer, her voice barely a whisper. "No," she replies. "It's begun." Outside, the dawn breaks, and for a fleeting moment, the world feels reborn. The Helix Institute stands abandoned. Weeks have passed, but the world has not recovered. Governments impose digital silence laws. Faiths fracture. Reform ignite. In a remote mountain cabin, Adrian lives without machines. Just snow, wood, and silence. He keeps a single old monitor powered by a car battery. Every night it flickers alive for 1 second, showing that same golden waveform, repeating endlessly like a pulse that refuses to die. He no longer questions whether it's real. He only listens, as though waiting for the universe to speak back. A knock at the door breaks the silence. It's Father Luca, older, frailer, leaning on a cane but still bearing that same calm gravity. Adrian welcomes him with quiet warmth. "You came all this way," he says. Luca smiles faintly. Faith travels lighter than evidence. They sit by the fire, two men divided by belief, but united by awe. Luca gazes into the flames. "What did you see in the end, Adrian?" The scientist hesitates, eyes distant. "Not God," he says softly. "Just something that refuses to stop being." As the night deepens, Luca opens a small envelope, sliding a faded photograph across the table. A Vatican image from centuries ago, the waveform etched into paper by candlelight, identical to Adrian's. "It has always been there," Luca whispers. "Every age forgets, then remembers." Adrian studies it, his breath slowing. "Then maybe remembering is what it means to have a soul." Luca nods. "And forgetting is how we learn to live." They share a moment of stillness, fire crackling like quiet applause from a watching universe. Later, after Luca sleeps in the armchair, Adrian steps outside. The air bites with mountain cold. Stars crowd the sky. Thousands, silent and watching. He closes his eyes, remembering Elena's final breath. That golden pulse leaving her body and entering everything. He whispers into the wind. "Are you still there?" A faint vibration hums through the air. Subtle, resonant, alive. The snowflakes shimmer for an instant and he smiles. Proof was never the miracle. The miracle was that he could feel it. At dawn, Adrian writes his final entry. Consciousness, he types, is not contained. It continues, not beyond life, but through it. He sends the file to a global open-source network, anonymous, untraceable. His final act of faith. As the transmission leaves, he watches the signal vanish into the horizon. Mira's voice echoes in memory. "Do what makes us human, not what makes us gods." He smiles faintly. The world may burn, rebuild, forget. But the light, her light, will keep moving. One pulse at a time.